Welcome back. Nigeria's next presidential election is 3 years away, but major political figures are positioning themselves in preparation for those polls. Yesterday, two candidates whose combined votes in the 2023 election would have relegated the eventual winner, Nigeria's current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to a losing position. They met officially for the first time since those elections. Peter Gregory, then presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, then presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party. They met yesterday privately, but pictures of the meeting were shared on social media. They went public and they went viral on social media. Now, Atiku Abubakar polled 6,984,520 votes, and you can see the pictures. Atiku first shared those pictures on his X and Instagram, as well as Facebook. Now, he polled 6,984,520 votes, while Peter Obi, the man in black on the left of your screen, garnered 6,101,533 votes, a total of 13,086,053 votes for these two individuals combined, compared to Bola Tinubu's 8,794,726 votes. Now, apart from meeting with Abubakar, Obi went on his tour to former president of the Nigerian Senate and former governor of Kwara State, Bukola Saraki, who's had some presidential ambitions. He also met with Alhaji Sule Lamido, former governor of Jigawa State. He's, apart from being former governor of Jigawa State, he's a key political figure in northern Nigeria. And his presidential ambition, like Saraki, has not been hidden. Now, while the politicians themselves haven't made public the reason for their meeting, Obi's media aide, Yunusa Tanko, said, quote, "The state of the nation and the plight of the poor inspired their meetings." However, some Nigerians, I would even dare say many Nigerians, believe that the meetings are intended to lead to the formation of a political coalition to wrest power from the ruling All Progressives Congress in 2027. Now, how feasible and how possible will this be? Our guest tonight on The Conversation, Zari Yusuf, is a spokesperson for the Big Ten. Remember them? Big Ten from 2023 elections. It's good to have you. Dixon Uwegbu is a public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, it's good to have you. They're both joining us via video link from Abuja. We have Nelson Ekujimi, who is a public affairs analyst. He joins us virtually from Lagos. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you so very kindly for your time. All right.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Reverend. Nelson will join us along the line. Now, do you have, or do you agree, let's start with you, Zaire. Do you agree that with the notion or suspicion by many that these gentlemen who met yesterday are working towards forming a coalition? Bearing in mind they have not said anything of that nature.
Well, first and most importantly, much as I will not deny the possibility of an alliance, working together, I must also assert that there are loads of wishful thoughts going around, especially looking at the situation of things in the country, where even for those who supported basically the party in power didn't really foresee how messed up things would be. So there are a whole lot of thoughts wishing something would just happen. Why not just these people just come around and something happens? So yes, there is that background of, the thoughts. So if he shakes hands with another opposition leader in speaking about Peter Gregory Obi, if he shakes hands with an opposition leader at a wedding or pays a visit to him, there would be a likely chance that, okay, they might be talking about some form of merger. But the events, especially that culminated to, what happened yesterday, had to do with not just meeting with Atiku, with whom they ran for, the highest office, with him as a running mate, and then Sule Lamido, and then Bukola Saraki. So that, of course, would raise a lot of, I would say would give a lot of idea with regards to the possibility of an alliance, to especially on state, I'd call it the evil that has, plagued us as a nation. Now, I don't know if I've responded specifically to that. So yes, I would say there is that possibility of something coming, because I believe they are elders, regardless of their political difference. At some point in time, I think with regards to the ideology of running the machinery of the country, they were on the same page, looking at Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar having run together. So it's not totally strange. It wouldn't come to me as a surprise if these visits give birth, to something that could actually pull Nigerians together, to take back, the country. And then I would still insist again, there are lots of wishful thoughts. So he might just put up a call, and then it will look as if, hey, he's trying to do this or that. So yes, I think that's how I'd respond to the question.
Thank you, Mazi.
Right now.
Thank you, Mazi. Dixon, the Labour Party official, Dr. Tanko Yunusa, says Obi went to discuss the state of the nation and the plight of the poor. Do you agree that that's what they went to discuss, or you're also on the boat of those who believe that this is about a coalition of the leading opposition figures? Dixon?
Yeah, thank you very much. The spokesperson, the official spokesperson of the Obi Dati presidential campaign, that is Comrade Tanko Yusuf. Yes, it is right that, yeah, the state of the nation informed the visit. Yeah. However, we are very conversant with the political atmosphere in Nigeria. There was no way that it would just end with, stating that the state of the nation is terrible and all of that. Okay, after it, what next? There was no way that meeting would have ended without, of course, discussing politics. We all agree, or we all have observed, that the 2027 political engagement has already begun. So that is part of it. Peter Obi is the only available hope for Nigeria now. But of course, he wouldn't do it alone by himself. There was no way he would win the seat of power in Nigeria without forming alliances. And if the opposition is serious to take back power and save this country from the terrible state we find ourselves, then the need for that alliance and all of it that should be done, the need for it is it can't be overemphasized. So I am very, very, very sure that it wasn't just about the state of the nation. Peter Obi is having good conversation with the main opposition, which is the PDP and all of that. Of course, that's his family. Visiting Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, he has maintained good relationship with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar even while they are in different political parties. And that is Peter Obi for you. And of course, that's a leader that we need today in Nigeria. We need a leader that will go
We'll come to that. We'll come to that very soon. But yes, we'll come to Dixon. Thank you. I'll come to that very shortly. But I want to go back to Nelson Ekujimi. Nelson, are you there? Can you hear me? It's good to have you join us. Nelson Ekujimi. Thank you. So, some will say, I can hear you. Yes, some will say this arrangement, this meeting of minds between Atiku Obi, Lamido Saraki, Bafarawa and co. is coming too late in the day. It's a belated development, considering the fact that the results of the 2023 general election show that if these individuals work together, Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC would have lost that election and they would have won. Do you agree that it's a belated and, it's late in the day?
No, absolutely. I don't believe it's related. It's within their rights to meet and discuss maybe on a coalition or whatever they feel they have to contribute to their political, future or ambition. is within their rights, but it is also within the rights of Nigerians who have had the opportunity of witnessing these persons being in public office in the last 8 years or thereabout. Atiku Abubakar was a 2-time vice president of Nigeria. Peter Obi was a 2-time governor of Anambra State. He was a vice presidential candidate of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar in the 2019 general elections, in which they lost to former President Muhammadu Buhari at the polls. And you talk about a Bukola Saraki, who lost his senatorial bid in 2019, and since then he has become a political orphan. If you look at the trajectory of the Saraki dynasty in Kwara State, so they are coming together is within their rights. They are free to discuss, but as Nigerians, whenever they come and they are telling us anything, as Nigerians, we will look at their past and we'll be able to put them squarely where they belong. It is not about people coming together and telling us they want to come and rescue us. Rescue us from what? When you were there, what did you do? In what way did you impact on the lives of Nigerians? So we have seen all this show in the past, and seeing it now is nothing new. We are used to it. It's a part of the political strategy of our politicians. And so we wait for them. We see how they will be able to bury their ambition also, or sacrifice their ambition for one another and form a coalition if that is really what they are doing. Because right now, they have not told us that they are going to form any coalition. But they should be rest assured that Nigerian electorate are well enlightened and sophisticated enough to know where to pitch their tent politically when it comes for elections. So, like I said, it's within their right. They can meet as many times as they want, but we know these persons in and out. We can look at them. We can say, you were in office at so time. What did you do? The time for persons who occupied public office in the past to come and become a moral compass for Nigerians, I think that time is past. You cannot come and doing because we are too enlightened to be doing based on religion or ethnicity or whatever emotions or sentiments any person or politician or party want to profess. So it's within their right. It's not too late in the day. Let them continue to meet. It's good for the optics.
Okay. Zaire, what's your response to that? Just an optical exercise and nothing more?
Well, to be quite honest with you, the last speaker, I think, laid a very good background to the birthing of the APC in the past 8 years and what is presently happening and how the country has been run, aground. The personalities basically he mentioned, and I love the fact that he chose to use the word, I don't belong to the APC, I've never belonged to the PDP. But with the case of Bukola Saraki, we would know very well why he lost his senatorial bid in Kwara. It would simply be that those were some of the voices that basically halted the massive and unnecessary borrowing and stealing of money while they were in Senate. So they did appear like people that didn't allow a whole lot to go on. So yes, to a large extent, they may not be saints, but they do have a track record. So much as anybody would look at the negatives, there are positives about them. There are things they held on to. And once they were forcefully put out of the way, we saw what we suffered. I mean, borrowing and stealing, and then printing of naira and all of that. So yes, it's also within his right to describe it as optics. But I would want to say that much as they have not come out to basically say, we are trying to set up a merger, we are trying to do this, we will try to look at the other aspects. What Nigerians are into, basically, looking at, the leaders that we've had, the one, that ran the past 8 years and the one that's presently running. Basically, when you look at it, there's a meeting between Atiku, Abubakar, Peter Obi, Sule Lamido, and basically this political waste from across political divides. Does it necessarily look like optics? Looking at, the plague that have befallen Nigerians, looking at the state of affairs, whether in terms of security, whether in terms of health, whether in terms of the economy, and all of that. So yeah, it's okay to dismiss it that way, but I think it would be quite unfortunate if we say Nigerians know better except, of course, there is a better alternative, which, if I would speak as an activist, if I would touch the activist aspect of myself, I would say, why do we have to wait till 2027? So we have a whole lot to do. We could do a whole lot before then. But I think it's more than optics, whether it's for mere conversation regarding the state of the economy, or conversations that would lay foundation for potential, alliances to take out basically what is most likely looking like something that they strangle Nigerians to death before another electioneering season comes. I think it's a welcome idea looking at the state of affairs. So it's a question of just doing it for the sake of it.
Yeah, Zairo, we'll come back to this conversation. We'll go for a break, and of course, Mazi Dixon will take your thoughts on. Because Nelson has asked a very important question: what did these guys do when they had power? Did they change their domains to El Dorado? I'm sure Nelson would appreciate the use of that word in my question. So we'll come back and take your thoughts on what Nelson and Kujimi said, and of course, we'll continue the conversation. If you're watching us from wherever you are, please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Politics HQ, looking at the meetings between Nigeria's leading opposition figures. The man who came second in the last presidential election in 2023, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, was visited by the man who came third in the elections, Peter Gregory. Atiku was of the People's Democratic Party, while Obi was of the Labour Party. And as we said earlier, when you combine the votes of these two gentlemen, of course, they would have won the elections. Don't forget that Peter Obi was a running mate to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar in the 2019 general elections. They came second to President Muhammadu Buhari at the time, of course, President of Nigeria, of the APC. Now, why didn't these men work together? Talks of a coalition between the opposition figures, is it possible? Will it be a reality? We have still with us Mazi Dixon, Nnamdi Irebu, he's a public affairs analyst. We have Nelson Kujimi, also a public affairs analyst, and Zari Yusuf, spokesperson for the Big Tent. Mazi, over to you. What can these men possibly offer, looking at their track record when they were in office? I think it's a question Nelson asked. So I want to take your response to that.
Thank you. Nelson sounded like someone who is outside Nigeria and wanted to tell Nigerians what they know about hunger, what they know about the state of the economy of our country, and all of that. Can I please be allowed? I choose the issue to pick on. I'm responding to the things you raised, so please allow me. All right? So he spoke as though he's some guy who is out there, outside his space. Nigerians know what has been united. We know the state of our country now. Okay? So those who think that they can bamboozle us with some very whatever kind of words they want to use. What is it that these people that met, why are they afraid of them? Peter Obi is the most discussed politician in Nigeria today. In fact, most of the solutions he has given that the ruling party has adopted is possibly what is keeping the ruling party afloat. This party has failed woefully. Since 2015, they came into power and took over from PDP. We know where PDP kept Nigeria before APC came to power in 2015. If PDP, if APC could just take us back to where Nigerians were when a bag of rice was less than 8,000 naira, if they could just take us back there when dollar was less than 200 naira, if they could just take Nigerians or Nigeria back to where they took us to in 2015, then we possibly will start now answering the question what these gentlemen, can bring to the table. What can Atiku Abubakar bring to the table? Are you asking? Really, former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who, of course, under his watch, we saw how the economy of Nigeria was, reshaped while he was in charge of that, particular economic team of the then administration and all that. What can Peter Obi bring to the table? Is anybody asking that kind of question? The truth is that the need for the opposition parties to come together is very important. It's important because we cannot continue on this lane that we are going
Mazi, you've answered the question. Please permit me to bring.
It's not sustainable at all.
Yeah, Mazi, thank you.
There's a need for us to take our country back from people who have obviously ruined.
Mazi Namdi, thank you. Nelson, you were trying to say something. Mazi, I'll come back to you. Thank you. Nelson?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes, you were trying to say something.
I'm with you.
Yeah, whilst...
Kofi, I'm with you.
Okay, you've heard his response. What's your take on that?
My response is that a country is not governed based on the price of a bag of rice or bag of beans. There are economic variables. And you are talking about a group of... Don't forget, just a few weeks back, a public asked that anybody should name one school or even a tertiary institution that Peter Obi built from the scratch and commissioned. And for after 8 years, that he was going to give such a person that can prove that he performed that $10,000. And came out and said he didn't build any school because it was not in his manifesto. So it means education was not a priority in Anambra State during his 8 years tenure. This is a Peter Obi or Atiku Abubakar. The Atiku Abubakar and the testimonial of Atiku Abubakar is in the public domain, where President Obasanjo called him all sorts of names, only for President Obasanjo to become his godfather again for the 2019 general elections when he was pairing with Peter Obi. And they were roundly defeated at the polls by Nigerians. So we are talking about economic indices countries today, of which we all know that the factors responsible for where we are is a global phenomenon, as well as some local undercurrents.
Right.
But be that as it may, these candidates that we have these persons that we have mentioned, the question we ask is that if they are eventually going to form a coalition, because the other man spoke about the APC returning Nigeria to the PDP era. I want to know, is Peter Obi is he leaving the Labour Party for the PDP?
Okay,
see have it on records that the 2023 election.
Nelson, thank you.
So I wouldn't know whether.
Nelson, thank you. I want to go back to Zairo. Well, Zairo, you have a response to what Nelson has said, but also,
can I respond, please?
No, I'll come to you. We'll take you one by one. Yeah,
now you see, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Basically, this gives you an idea of the ruthlessness with which anything associated with the ruling party operates. That a man sits and he looks you in the eye. He tells Nigerians that you can't associate the price and some other things, that they are economic variables. I mean, we're not going to into this, basically. I mean, just because they said you're a political analyst does not mean you should say everything. And I do not think the likes of Rino Omokri are serious characters that anybody would waste his energy calculating on. And please, speaking about education, tell me, even after years leaving office of Peter Obi, which states in the country have beat the educational landmark he has set in Anambra State? Just tell me. It doesn't happen. Now, you see, we know cheap people that have been given either 10 or 15,000 pounds to make be their breakfast, lunch,
Zaro, please,
so it's just pathetic.
Zaro, no, I don't want you to go personal. Please.
No, we're not going personal.
Mazi, hold on.
Let me just submit this. If I may, let me just submit this. You see, you cannot separate economics, especially with the things that impact directly on the lives of masses. So somebody will tell you that an increase in PMS, the price of PMS, an increase in the bag of rice or whatsoever, is not an economical argument. There are other indices. The other indices are nothing other than printing money and sharing it, mopping up dollars and sharing it, borrowing money and sharing it. If that is basically the economic indices, then that's fine. Because in economics, the masses should be able, whatever happens today, to be reflected in the welfare of the masses. Come on.
Thank you very much.
Come on.
Mazi, you hold your thought. It seems that the adverts always come up when you're about to. Maybe just give us time to breathe. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll come to you, Mazi. Of course, President Bola Tinubu said, let the people or let the poor breathe. So not that you're poor, but you know what I'm saying. We'll allow everyone breathe and we'll come back with a conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We want to go straight to our guests tonight. Of course, I'll be listening to the conversation. I won't waste any time. Mazi Namdi-Rebu, you were making or trying to make a point in response to what Nelson Ekochimi had said. So you have your time.
Nelson should be informed that the purpose of governance, the purpose of every government is the welfare and security of the people. So for him to say that food on the table of the masses is irrelevant, it shows you clearly the mindset of the caliber of people within the APC and, of course, the government in power. It's just unfortunate, but let them know that if the fear of P2B is their problem, well, they will be shocked what will happen by the time these great leaders come together. Because like you rightly pointed out, that if a Peter Obi and Atiku were to be in the same camp, would have had the continuation of this sham that we are experiencing from APC. We won't have had it. So if they have learned their mistakes and P2B is able to mobilize as he is doing now, both the North and the South, both PDP, LP, and even members of APC, some of them don't know that the obedient movement goes beyond political party. And that is why you see the capacity of the leadership of Peter Obi. He talked about education and thinking it is all about building and all that. He talked about, of course, my other colleague has responded to what Reno Mokri, who I am very certain does not have 10,000 naira in his pocket, of course, except funded by those who are funding him now to malign the image of Peter Obi and all, talking about how he didn't construct. Peter Obi came in with a very clear agenda. And that agenda has worked for Anambra State. Right. I don't know where
Mazi, we don't go into all that.
That is the highest institution in Nigeria today.
Mazi,
very policy. That agenda that
thank you very much. Because of time,
it's not allowed. You don't allow me to land on my
we don't want to sell the parties now. But Mazi, I'll come back to you because of time. I appreciate
you can't be dropping me up and all like
I'm sorry, Mazi.
Let me land on my
okay, so make your point, please, just in a sentence or two.
The point I'm making is that the agenda that people came with, as far when it comes to education in Anambra State, is still working. He returned the school back to the original owners and funded those schools by that very particular agenda. And
Mazi, because of time, let me go back to Nelson. Nelson, you did raise some points about the workability of such a coalition. I mean, this isn't the first time we've had a coalition arrangement or talk of coalition. We had it in 2019. Zari is here from the Big Tent. They made a lot of noise, or let me say they were quite popular. Let me not call it noise, so it doesn't misinterpret me. But they made a lot of raised a lot of dust in 2023. The Big Tent was everywhere, but nothing came out of it. The candidates worked on their own. We had NMPP coalition with the Labour Party. Nothing came out of it. We had PDP is going to work with Labour Party. Nothing came out of it. Now. Former Commissioner of NEC, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, Sam Amadi, who is now in Bayes University, Abuja, he has said, he's quoted as saying that Alhaji Sule Lamido, the one who Obi went to visit yesterday, vowed to go into exile if Obi, then presidential candidate of the Labour Party, secured up to 1 million votes. Now, this could be described, will you describe this as an arrangement of strange bedfellows that is bound to fail?
Quickly run with that. The fact is that when election comes, there are so many undercurrents that determines how people vote. Don't forget, in 2019, Peter Obi was the vice presidential candidate to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Sule Lamido was not on the ballot. So the coming together of these persons is nothing new. But don't also forget, if anybody thinks because they had that votes, if you total what they had in the 2023 elections, looking ahead to 2027, then that person must be an Alice in Wonderland. Because we all know the currents under which Peter Obi flew for the 2023 elections. You remember the "Yes, Daddy, thank you, Daddy, this is a religious war" audio tape with a clergy. So, looking at these persons, I can tell you for free, they can come together, but I can tell you for free that the currents that will determine the 2027 general elections, cannot be determined now. Don't forget, we are a people that vote based on so many, reasons. And if in 2023, a candidate portrayed himself and he was adopted as a religious sect candidate, and he lost, you can be sure if he's teaming up with Alhaji Atiku.
I think we shouldn't.
Okay, Mazi, hold on. Mazi, please. Mazi, I'll come to you. Mazi, Nnamdi, I'll come to you. Let me go to Zari. Zari, are you there?
I'm sorry, I couldn't say.
Mazi, please. Let's have one out. Mazi, Biko. Let's have one house, please. Zari. What are your thoughts on the workability of this coalition? Bear in mind what Sule Lamido said in 2023. He said he'll go on exile. And of course, you guys in the Big Tent came out and made a splash, but nothing came out of it.
Well, first of all, I think the Big Ten, I would say the Big Ten was not making noise. Basically, you may say that if the elections were elections indeed, but it was daylight robbery. I will just put it that, and I will not go into that due to certain things. But we know quite well how this present regime got into power. Now, and speaking about whatever Sule Lamido said during the campaign with regards to Peter Obi, indeed, there were people that felt, well, the only thing we know is either this major political party or that major political party. And so that judgment must have come out of maybe a disregard for whatever platform he was flying. But then he demonstrated who he was as an individual, and that went a long way. So, and as far as, the numbers are concerned, as far as, the grassroots are concerned, we know who won. But then, of course, we saw what happened in the courts and all of that. And speaking about, the factors that determine voting, you would remember with the APC, Buhari, I think, to begin with, had a problem with the war against terrorism. He went ahead to tell people Christians should vote Christians, Muslims should vote Muslims. And when the Muslim ticket came, we know the propagandist that was used, the governor of Kaduna State, who forged, that falsehood called the Muslim ticket through rigging to create the false impression that the Muslims are in a higher population. And so he sold the same idea. Let's get this Muslim ticket. And primarily, let us deal with the Christians, or maybe people they refer to as, the infidels. So the beginning and the end of the APC, it's not so different from a Muslim product, if we would look at it that way. And so they thrived on that because the power was already in Buhari's hands. And looking at basically his body language with regards to fight against terrorism, with regards to fanaticism, we could understand why they rigged and got away with it.
Yeah, but
we went to court and still the system was,
your organization.
But I would just want to put
Zari, your organization,
it is
your organization organized events. I mean, Professor Patutomi, Zari, can you hear me? Yeah, Professor Patutomi was on national TV, and you had events. You had, it was called a Big Tent Coalition and the Third Force. You had events with Patutomi and former governors and all that meeting. We watched that on TV. You had Telethon and all that, and talking about coalition. Nothing came out of that. There was no coalition. So what makes, what can you say to convince Nigerians that any coalition will work? There was no coalition. Big Tent came out and said, Third Force.
Yeah. You see, the truth of the matter is simple. It's not even as if the APC took Nigerians back to the days of the PDP. Whatever happens in Buhari's 8 years, there was a shadow of what the PDP did. And so there are people that didn't necessarily see this evil that we are currently suffering. An example, the mess we are going on, a typical example is someone saying government vehicles will no longer, there is a ban on vehicles that use PMS. So you've isolated the people who run the machinery of the government from the reality of the masses. So nobody basically saw that. Even the fanatical clerics that were used to champion the same fate ticket, they are regretting it. When you listen to their messages, they are regretting it. They said they were deceived. So basically, it was the use of fanaticism to achieve a political end. So there are a whole lot of things that have just become bad.
Yeah, but you're not answering my question, Zari, whether...
Yes, the question I'm saying is that the reality that has faced us in the past months, or since, this new president came into power, has awakened the consciousness of Nigerians, has awakened the consciousness of the political elites, those who would have the power to, do a merger or a coalition, if that is basically what they are discussing, should they come public with it, if that's the case. It has awakened, the consciousness, and it has made it clear that basically, as things are going, we cannot do without coming together to unseat the evil that has befallen us.
Mazi, over to you. Is this workable? Yeah.
You said nothing came out of the big tent and the obedient movement.
No. Mazi, you're getting me wrong. Mazi, let me correct that insinuation. What I said was that the big tent coalition, the talks of a coalition.
So they made a splash.
Yes, there were talks of coalition. They had events, at least one event, where different political leaders came together, but the coalition aspect of the big tent did not become a reality. That's what I'm looking at.
The coalition was with the Nigerian people. The coalition was their
but they were talking about a coalition of different political leaders.
Hold on. First of all, we're discussing politics, okay? So coalition must not necessarily just be about mixing up or having an alliance with a group of political parties or party and all. That's not just what we meant. First off, remember when P2B movement started, they said, it was 4 people tweeting from a room and all of that. Today, INEC allotted, after they grabbed it and ran with it, INEC allotted 6.3 million votes to that very movement and all of that. So you couldn't say, therefore, that
Mazi, we don't want to make we know this is subject of law. So it's been ruled on by the Supreme Court, so we don't want to make allegations. Yes, please, to say that INEC grabbed it or allotted. Mazi, let's not go there. Please, Mazi, Mazi, you know the Supreme Court has ruled already. Mazi, please, Mazi. Mazi, the Supreme Court has already ruled, has ruled on this matter, and so we don't want to say or insinuate that INEC allocated votes.
Don't stop a Nigerian from expressing himself.
No, but we need to do so within the confines of the law. Mazi, we need to do so within the confines of the law. Okay, are we to go on a break?
The confines of the law allows that I have liberty to express myself as I said to you.
No, Mazi, you're allowed to express yourself. All I'm saying is please, because this is a public forum. Mazi, please, all I'm saying is this, because this is a...
You allow somebody you allow the other party there to be undermining the other party. For what, really? When it gets to this other person to defend himself, you say it's a public forum. A public forum, somebody is there trying to incite and say that Tinubu was a religious candidate. When you know that's a lie, why didn't you correct him? Why didn't you? What will I do? This is our country. What we are saying is that P2B coalition and alignment with these other big wigs in the political arena, it will pay. And those who took it for granted in 2023, who said that, it was just 4 people tweeting from a room, they will be shocked when the 2027 alliance will happen. We will take back our country and save ourselves from this hunger that this renewed saving that we are seeing today in our country has infested or put upon the Nigerian people. That is what the alliance is about.
Mazi, I have a question for you. Mazi. I have a question for you. And I hope, and I'm sure you can understand and appreciate the fact that because of the legal ramifications of all that we are doing, we also need to act within the confines of the law. We are a public entity. We are a legal entity, we want to, thank you, Mazi. Thank you for your understanding, your maturity. Now, the question, Mazi, I'll ask you a follow-up question when we come back from the break. So please stay with us and we'll try to find out from our guests, of course, what they think should be done going forward. It's still Politics HQ, right here on News Central TV. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. I just want to quickly give our guests, because of time, 30 seconds each to answer my final question. Mazi, Iregu, I want to ask you this question because you've been vocal about this possibility of coalition. Who should take the lead? It's been an issue. 2019, it was a big issue, amongst all the candidates who were talking about having a coalition. Who should take the lead when all these opposition leaders come together? 30 seconds, please, because of time. Mazi.
Let me be prophetic here. Obi will be the candidate of the coalition, and other people will support. Why? Because there was a mistake made in 2023, particularly by PDP, that it was wrong for anybody to imagine that after 8 years of a northerner, that another northerner would take it. It was wrong. That was where PDP miscalculated. They may have made that mistake. Now they want to correct it. Let me put it here. If it is prophecy, when it happens, quote me that I prophesied that Obi will be the candidate, the presidential candidate of the coalition, and other parties will join to support him because
Mazi, time because of time. So I'll add another title to your name, Prophet Mazi Prophet Dixon Iregu. Nelson,
it's allowed.
I saw you chuckle. Now, some of the supporters of Obi are saying he should be the one leading. In your opinion, does that mean or signify that this coalition is already dead on arrival, since the supporters of the various candidates are saying, no, our man should take the lead?
Let me also be prophetic. The presidential candidate of will be Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. All things Obi will be the candidate of the LP. It's not for PDP. So for this coalition, if there's going to be a coalition formed by these forces we have mentioned, that will not be presidential candidate, that coalition is dead.
Okay. All right. Nelson, it seems to say the coalition is dead on arrival. Zari, how about you? Who should take the lead?
Well, this is who should take the lead, and I think even you and every other Nigerian would answer that. 1, a true Nigerian. 2, a man that has friends across all geopolitical zones. 3, a man that has friends across religious divides. 4, a man that has friends across ethnic divides. 5, a man that has huge and thousands of followership in every village he steps his foot, regardless what part of the country it is. 3, a man that has demonstrated his capability as, a leader from whatever level of leadership, whether in the business
like
world,
you're talking about Atiku Abubakar.
business, whether in banking and all of that. So once we look at that, because Nigerians know who should be.
Thank you very much.
Fully come to the understanding of whose name basically strikes fear into the dungeon.
I don't know. Are you talking about when you say whose name strikes fear? You're not giving us a name, but I want to thank you, gentlemen, for your time. I don't know if Atiku Abubakar is talking about maybe Shaware, because his name also strikes fear, or maybe it's
no, it doesn't. Basically,
but because Atiku says he's a unifier.
As far as the optics today are concerned, we know who that person is.
We have to go. Mazi, Prophet Dixon, Namdi Iregu, public affairs analyst, and Nelson, what were you saying? Sorry, Nelson.
You can see that the coalition is already running into stormy waters.
Yeah, of course, you could prophesy doom, but basically we will be here, God willing, and you will be welcome home. We are not.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
The rest of the parties that make enemies.
Yusuf and Nelson Ekujibi. Gentlemen, thank you. It's been wonderful having you tonight. And my name is Kofi Bartels. The size of our package will return tomorrow with more of the hottest conversations in Nigerian politics. Goodbye.